The wind rolled heavy across the flat, cracked plains of dry hollow, a small and near-forgotten outpost somewhere between the living and the dying parts of the West. The dust swirled like restless spirits, and the air held the dry silence of something long buried. It was on a Tuesday market day that Sam Tolliver, the rancher known only to the town as the Quiet One, hitched his mule and made the slow ride into town. He wasn't much for town business anymore, not since his wife died of fever and his son ran off with the railroad. He kept to himself, mostly tending to his cattle, listening to the crows, and speaking only when he had to. But that day, something gnawed at his bones, something unspoken, a weight in his chest like the sky itself was pressing down. When Sam reached the center square, a crowd had gathered. The sheriff was there, half drunk, barking orders, the banker, the saloon girls, the preacher's wife, all of them circled around like buzzards. In the middle stood a crude platform of two wooden crates and a rope hanging like a question mark. And on it, a girl. No, not a girl, a woman. A young woman. Skin darkened by sun and dirt, dress torn and eyes swollen with fear. Her hands were tied in front, feet bare. Her lips trembled. Her face was bruised. And yet there was a fire behind her broken expression. A fire even her captors hadn't extinguished. She's a drifter, someone shouted. Was caught stealing bread from Jackson's store. Ain't from here, another growled. Could be an outlaw's whore for all we know. She's got no papers, no kin. What do we do with her? Sheriff Clayton stood with his boots dug into the ground, sweat pouring down his red face. She ain't worth hanging, he finally slurred. But she ain't worth keepin' either. Someone in the crowd laughed. Auction her off then. Let someone take her off our hands. The words hung in the air like a spark in dry brush. And just like that, the square turned into something uglier. They lined up laughing, jeering, spitting offers of whiskey and bullets. Men who hadn't looked a woman in the eye in years. But the woman, she didn't beg, didn't scream. She looked out across them with that hollow courage until Sam stepped forward. I'll give $1, he said. The crowd froze. Sam never spoke unless he had to. All eyes turned. Even the woman lifted her head. The sheriff snorted. $1? That ain't even worth the rope around her wrists. I said I'll take her. Sam repeated, pulling out a single silver coin and tossing it to the ground. The sheriff waved him off. Fine, take your prize. When Sam stepped onto the crate and took the girl by the arm, she flinched. Please, just make it quick, she whispered. Her voice wasn't angry or desperate, just tired. But Sam didn't answer. He untied her wrists slowly, wrapped his coat around her shoulders, and led her to his mule. The town kept laughing behind him, but the moment their backs turned, the laughter faded into a memory. The ride back was silent. She didn't speak, and neither did he. Her eyes stayed lowered, and her body leaned slightly from exhaustion. Sam didn't ask her name, nor did she offer it. When they reached the ranch, she looked at the lonely cabin, the fence half broken, the fields wild and overgrown. You live here alone? She asked softly. Sam nodded. You paid $1 for me. You gonna make me earn it? Sam paused, then simply said, you're free. If you want to run, gates open. If you want to stay, there's an extra cot and stew on the fire. The woman blinked. She wasn't expecting mercy. Not here, not now, not ever. She didn't run. That night she ate in silence. Her hands trembled each time she brought the spoon to her lips. She slept without asking questions. But Sam noticed her flinch in her sleep. The dreams of whatever life she came from clawed at her like wolves. Days passed. She helped in the barn, repaired fence posts, fed the hens. She never smiled, but she worked. The bruises on her arms faded. Her silence softened. Sam never asked her name again. He let her heal like you let an injured fox heal, slow and untouched. It wasn't until the 6th night she sat by the fire and said, my name's Clara. Sam only nodded, tipping his hat from the rocking chair. The days rolled into weeks. One morning, Sam awoke to find the porch swept, the floor mopped, and a loaf of bread baking. Clara stood by the window, watching the sunrise like she hadn't seen light in years. I used to be a school teacher, she whispered. Before the railroad came through my town, before the fire, Sam didn't ask for more. But he listened. That evening, while branding the cattle, a rider approached fast and loud. A man in a gray coat, eyes like ice, and a shotgun on his lap. He didn't speak, just looked at Clara and spat. Thought I'd find you here. He sneered. Clara froze. Sam stood between them. She ain't going nowhere. He said. She's mine. Ran off with my horse, my cash, and my brother's knife in her gut. She's not yours. She's nobody's. The man raised the shotgun. Sam didn't blink. The wind stopped. And what happened next would change Dry Hollow forever. The man on the horse didn't lower the shotgun. His knuckles were white around the barrel, jaw clenched, eyes not on Sam, but on Clara, as if she'd burned his soul and buried the ashes. Clara stood behind Sam, hands trembling, but not from fear, anymore from memory. She'd seen that man before. She knew what he could do. Sam didn't move. His boots stayed rooted in the dirt. His voice, quiet as falling snow, cut through the silence. You got no right, he said. There's no law out here, says a man owns another. The rider grunted. You call it law. She left my brother bleeding, took what wasn't hers, and now she's hiding on your land like some stray mutt. Sam looked the rider in the eye. Then I guess this mutt's under my roof now. The rider spat in the dirt. You really willing to die for her? A pause. Sam didn't answer. Didn't have to. The look in his eyes said enough. He'd already buried his past. He had nothing left to lose. Nothing, except the quiet dignity he built from the wreckage of his life. And maybe, just maybe, this woman who swept his porch, spoke his silence, and stitched herself into the broken seams of his routine. Be smart, old man, the rider growled. Step aside. This ain't your fight. But Sam didn't move, not an inch. The shotgun cocked. Clara stepped forward, voice shaking, but firm. Don't, she said. Please, I'll go. Sam turned his head slightly, just enough to see her. No. It was the first time he'd ever said that word with weight. Clara's heart cracked. Open. No one had ever said no for her before. Men had claimed her, punished her, used her, but no one had stood in front of a gun and said no. The rider sneered. Sweet. Now she speaks. Tell you what, you want to die for her, fine. But I ain't gonna waste bullets. He dismounted, shotgun still trained on Sam, and pulled a long hunting knife from his boot. The same knife that Clara had stabbed his brother with months ago. In a dark saloon room, with only desperation guiding her hand, he stepped forward, slow, and measured, like a wolf stalking a calf. Sam didn't flinch. His eyes scanned the man's movements, the tension in his wrist, the shift of his boots in the dirt. When the rider lunged, it wasn't a fight, it was a storm. Dust exploded. Boots thudded. Fists cracked. Clara screamed. Sam caught the wrist with the knife and twisted, hard, bringing his elbow down like a hammer. The knife clattered. The shotgun fell. The rider punched Sam in the jaw, blood spraying. Sam staggered, but didn't fall. He growled an animal sound and slammed his fist into the rider's face, again and again, until the man collapsed. Sam stood over him, chest heaving, blood dripping from his nose. You come back, Sam said through grit teeth, and next time I won't be so merciful. He dragged the man to his horse, tied his hands with his own saddle rope, and slapped the horse hard. The rider disappeared down the trail, humiliated and broken. Clara stood frozen. Sam turned, limping, wiping blood from his chin. Their eyes met. You okay? He asked, and Clara, who had been bought, sold, beaten, discarded, sank to her knees. Why? She asked, tears streaming. Why? Would you do that for me? Sam didn't answer right away. He looked toward the setting sun, where the clouds burned orange. Because no one did it for my wife, and I've lived with that long enough. That night, Clara didn't sleep in the guest cot. She sat beside Sam on the porch as coyotes howled in the distance. He handed her a cup of coffee. She didn't take it. She reached for his hand instead. The days that followed changed everything. Clara wasn't just a helper anymore. She became a partner. Sam showed her how to ride, how to shoot, how to read the land like a storybook. She taught him to laugh, again, to hum while cleaning, to cook with more than just beans. They didn't talk about love. It just happened, quiet and slow, like rain softening dry earth. One morning, while branding calves, Sam noticed a mark on Clara's back, a scar, deep and jagged. She caught him staring and said, "That was the first man I was sold to." Sam didn't speak. He just took his hand, ran it gently over the scar, and kissed her shoulder like it was sacred. Spring came, then summer. Dry Hollow stayed cruel, but Sam's ranch bloomed, not with flowers but with life. With hope, word spread. Some laughed behind Sam's back. He bought her for $1. They'd sneer. She'll leave him like all the others. But she didn't. She stayed. Because she wasn't bought. She was saved. And one Sunday morning, as they walked to the stream behind the hill, Sam took her hand and said, "I never thought I'd get another chance. But if you want to make a life here with me, I'd be honored." Clara looked at him, tears in her eyes. She wasn't the broken woman from the platform anymore. She was whole. She nodded and kissed him. Years later, Dry Hollow became a ghost town. The saloon closed. The sheriff drank himself into the grave. The banker moved east. But the ranch, Sam and Clara's ranch, grew stronger. Travelers passing through would hear stories about a woman who was bought for $1 and became queen of a ranch. About a man who did the unthinkable. He didn't hurt her. He didn't use her. He gave her freedom, dignity, a home. And they'd ask if it was true. The old-timers would say, "True as the sunrise." Sam never bragged. Clara never told the full story. But the look in their eyes said more than words ever could. Because sometimes, love isn't loud. It's just someone who says, "You don't have to run anymore," and means it. Asterisk.